Hi everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All.
A podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
And some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
or a cup of coffee
and join us for a quick chat after class. Hello, so how are you feeling today after your poem class?
I am a little sore, but feeling good. It was funny because right before we jumped on to record this episode, I was jet gluing my shoe, but I was only jet gluing my right shoe because for some reason my right shoe always dies faster than my left shoe. And so I'm just jet gluing the crap out of my right shoe. Like, you will not die, because I don't want to have to sew. I hate sewing. And so I will do anything to not have to sew a new pair of shoes. So I'm like determined to make that right shoe last longer. But yeah, is it the same for you with your point shoes? Does one die faster?
Yeah, so to me, I will say no, every dancer is the same, but to me, I don't really have a right or a left shoe. No for demi points or for slippers, no for point shoes. It is funny because every time I put them on, I can't be more careless about which shoe I'm putting where, but I do notice that exactly the same. I'm a left turner like you, so my right foot is always my supporting leg, and it gets, if I'm gonna do anything by myself on point, I'm always gonna have that foot as the supporting leg. So that's why my right foot, yes, gets a little bit softer, but I think that because I keep changing it all the time, I don't feel it that often. It is actually, you might be using one foot as the supporting leg more than the other one. Like if you're turning or you're doing badminton dews or just plie releve, you're pressing one more than the other one because you feel more comfortable, you feel more strain on that one. And that's why the shoe is getting softer. And it doesn't mean like exactly like what Hannah did. You don't need to go buy a pair of shoes immediately. It will be safer, but you can just glue the shoe and be very stubborn like Hannah, and you're gonna last. You're gonna last.
Yeah, those things are too expensive to not wear them until they're literally just completely dead. I'm like, no, you will go until you cannot go anymore, because paying 100, and I think mine are usually about 112. I'm like, whew, it's painful placing an order. So I will just jet glue them until they can't go on. So funny.
I remember at school, again, back to Cuba, everything for free. We were giving point shoes very often, and I have a very flexible instep, so I broke point shoes very often. And I was strong enough to keep them, even after they were dead, to keep them for an extra 2 classes or maybe a week. But they will keep changing into us. And if there was a point where they broke before they were going to give me the new shoes, how do you call the camber, the hard?
Oh, the shank.
The shank. So the shank. So I remember that we used to, like, the teachers would tell us, look, they're not going to give you the new shoes for like another 1 or 2 classes. And we would take the shank off, like pull them off one dead shoe and put on the other one. So we will have 2, a little bit uncomfortable, but it did the trick. Trust me, it did the trick. I wouldn't recommend you to do it. A lot of people would be like, oh my God, that's so old school and that's so like the 90s. And yes, I was born in 1991, so that's why it's from the 90s.
Hey, at least you were born in the 90s, not the 80s, okay? I'm an 80s baby. That makes me feel really old. I'm like, oh my gosh, when I talk to kids now and they say their birthday is like in the 2000s, I'm like, oh Lord, like that makes me feel old. But
and now when you're signing in something online on there and you start scrolling years and I remember before it was like one swipe and it would just scroll down like tick, 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 tick. And your year was there. Now I'm like scrolling and it's scrolling and it's scrolling. I'm like, why is 1991 so far away now?
The birthday year just keeps getting further and further down the list. Oh gosh, such is life, I guess. Well, I feel like this is going to be a fun episode because it's relatable, definitely relatable for me, and I'm sure it's relatable to other people. And it is essentially what to do or not to do when you're not getting it, when you're struggling to pick up choreography, or when you feel like you just keep making mistakes in class. I know there are some things that you can do mentally, physically to help you kind of stay in it even when you feel like you're struggling to keep up. So hopefully this is a practical and helpful episode for people. So you want to just jump right in and take us away?
Well, I will say that the most basic thing to have in mind is if you're doing a combination and for some reason you enter the wrong class or you couldn't go to your beginner's class and you are now in an intermediate advanced level class, every exercise can be modified. Everything. They are doing developers and you can't lift your leg that high or you haven't learned that, you can just do a badminton due with a leg a little bit higher off the ground. Yeah, so a relevant, what we call. Something important is, if you're doing a passe, everyone is doing a passe retiré, and you can't do it because either you haven't learned or your hips doesn't feel warm enough or you just don't want to do it because you don't trust your body getting in that position, do a coup de pied. Or if you forgot to do the passe because you didn't have the time, you reacted too late, don't go to the passe off music and then you're going to mess the entire exercise. Just stay in coup de pied or coupé, yeah? So le coup de pied, and that will help.
Yeah, I think one of the things too that's really cool about ballet, and the longer you are in classes, you kind of start to connect. Like, this is just something I've started to really notice recently, is how every single movement has an initial movement. So like the initial movement for a passe, like you said, is a coupe. And then, the initial movement for a dégagé is a tendu. And so there's always a pre-step for the bigger step. And so I think it is really, it's a really modifiable thing because there's always kind of one step down from whatever you're doing. And if you're, like you said, if you're in a class, I know for beginners, a lot of times the classes are limited, and so they kind of jam multiple levels together. A lot of times at studios, there's maybe 1 or 2 adult classes, so it's kind of like a beginner / intermediate or intermediate / advanced. There's not like true beginner, intermediate, advanced classes, and so you might be in a class where you feel a little bit over your head. And I think modifying is such a great way to really get the most out of the class without getting frustrated too, because you can't expect your body to do more than what your training has given you the foundation to do. And so if you're in a class, like I know one of the teachers I take class from, a lot of times she'll say, like, if you can't do a pirouette yet when everyone else, does their prep and does a pirouette, and I know you say this too, Yelena, just do a passe releve, because again, that's like the base step for doing a pirouette. And so there's no shame in not busting out a pirouette. Like, if you haven't learned how to do that, then, there's no shame in that. So just being comfortable with modifying, I think is a great way to prevent yourself from getting frustrated, prevent yourself from getting injured because you're trying to do movements that you haven't developed the foundation for. So that's a really good, I think, first point.
Yeah, definitely. Now, moving from there, let's say that you're doing a combination in the center class and it's a tombé, pas de bourrée, glissade, assemblée, whatever, and then you finish in a fourth position. You already forgot everything that happened before you get to the fourth position. But you know that you have to transfer within the space. You know that you have to move forward because your teacher kept moving forward and forward and forward. Don't stop. Go with the flow of traffic, how we say. Just keep the momentum. Don't do any physical, or verbal, oh my God, and keep moving. No, because that's exactly what Hannah and I will be talking for a lot. That might be the right second where I'm, as a teacher, weren't even looking at you for that split second. I was looking to someone behind you or in front of you. And as soon as you said, oh, no, I was sure, and I will have very certainty that you messed up. It is not bad, but if you keep going, I would never know, and we would be all happy. So that's something else.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a cardinal sin of ballet. I think we even talked about this on the etiquette episode of when in doubt, just keep moving. The worst thing you can do is come to a complete stop. And so that's the practical side of that is also just that it keeps you more ready to jump in to the next move that you do know. Whereas if you just completely stop, you lose that momentum to pick up the next step that you might get. And especially, like you said, when you're in the center and there's traveling happening, you can kind of become a roadblock for other people. So even if you're not getting the exact right steps, just keep kind of moving with the flow of traffic, like you said, and transferring your weight and keeping the momentum going, because exactly what you said, like it's a lot harder for everyone around you to detect that you're making mistakes or not getting it if you're still keeping that momentum of moving. So when you're not getting it, definitely don't stop. Just keep moving. That's a big one. And then, like you said too, I know a lot of teachers, it's like a pet peeve for if you do mess up, making some sort of physical or verbal display. This is one I am so guilty of. I've been trying to break this habit so much, because sometimes if I mess up, it like comes out of my mouth of like a or like like I make these little exclamations, and it's like I totally give myself away. And so training yourself to stay quiet when you mess up, because obviously if you're auditioning or you're performing, you can't audibly make a noise if you mess up. But if that's what you've been doing in class, it's really hard to kind of break that habit.
Yesterday, I was in a private class with this little 11 years old girl. She is, to whatever extent you want to put it, the most gorgeous little ballerina I have seen in a while. So technique-wise, her artistry, her port de bras, and she's smiling and soft face, and she's awesome. And then we passed to the center, and she kept like trying to do this simple pirouette with control, and she's like, and she goes again. And I let her do it the first time. I was like, oh, she's just doing it because we are in a private class. And then she does the second time, and then she's like, and I'm like, you can't do this the whole time. It is very important for you to erase that habit, because everything that I saw at the beginning of the class, this gorgeous ballerina doing a perfect ballet class with the port de bras, with those legs and toes and pointing and on the oars, it was gone as soon as she's like, wait, I was like, nope, that can't happen within an audition. First, it's really, if you are in an audition and you're having a class with like 20 other dancers, it's a little bit distracting. Like, put yourself in someone else's shoes, and you are doing your exercise, and someone's like, and making noise. You'll be like, come on, let me think of my exercise. Keep that for yourself. So it is for non-professionals. So for adults, it's a little bit maybe distracting. Try to not do any verbal or physical comment. Yeah, so try to avoid that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm always just so impressed by. When I see online, on YouTube or Instagram, you'll see people do these little compilations of people having stage fails. And I am always just so impressed when you see professional dancers and they will go all the way down to the ground and pop back up with a smile on their face like nothing just happened. And I just think that that's such a mark of a professional dancer, is that they have so trained themselves to not let a mistake wreck the whole rest of the combination or the whole rest of the show. It's like this resilience that you build, to just keep going. And I think even as adults, even though, we may never perform or, we might not ever be on a stage, I think it's still building that resilience of when you mess up to not just keep going, but to keep going with a smile on your face. And I think that's also a good lead into, I know one of the things we want to talk about is even just the mindset of messing up and not letting that get in your head so much that it ruins the whole class.
It happens. We are not perfect, and we're humans, and we're going to make a mistake in the class and the exercise. Like, something that I like about our online lessons is the first day of the month, that first week, we start with a class. Every month we will change it. If it's very challenging, we will keep it for a month and a half, maybe 2 months. But why we do that is you make mistakes, you don't know the exercises the first week or 2 weeks, and then you will have time enough for the rest of the month, a month and a half, to learn the exercises, because we are human. So the first 2 weeks you make mistakes, it happens. You have the time to oh, okay, I'm gonna learn the combination now for the next 2 weeks, and then we can go and clean the technique or the goal of the exercise, insist more, oh, we were looking for more dancing in this port de bras. At some point, you will be able to memorize anything and keep enjoying the class and give yourself that chance of try and fail.
Yeah, one of the things I've heard that it's just stuck with me, and I think it's so relevant for ballet and for being a beginner, not even just as a beginner, because ballet I feel like is always difficult no matter what level you're at, but it's just the idea of talking to yourself the way you'd talk to a friend, because I think a lot of times we feel comfortable or we default to talking to ourselves so much meaner than we would talk to somebody else. Like, it's so easy for us to just be like, oh, you're such an idiot, like, why can't you get this, you suck, like, but we would never say that or feel that way if we had a friend standing next to us, dancing next to us in class, and they messed up. We'd be like, it's okay, like, don't worry about it, keep going. Like, that's how we would respond to them. So why don't we respond to ourselves that way? And I think that's something that I've really been working on and thinking about, is just trying to speak kindly to myself in class, because I think one thing I've noticed is that the more negative I am in my self-talk, the more the rest of the class just kind of tends to fall apart and to have like a negative vibe over it, because my inner talk is negative. And so of course that comes out in how I'm dancing. Whereas if I can talk to myself the way I would talk to the person next to me, of trying to encourage them through it, it just keeps the positive energy up. And I think it really does affect your dancing. Like, I think it has such a huge effect. Like, I think mindset is such a big part of how we dance in our classes.
Always remember, why are you doing the ballet classes? As soon as you get in a little bit of a bad mood, as soon as you are like, oh, I keep failing all the combinations, so I just can't do this. Remember why you're doing it. You're doing it because you chose to dance ballet. You chose to enjoy it. Why are you enjoying it? Or why do you decide to join ballet classes? Use that to bring you back to the positive memories of, oh, that's right, this is just today, it's just one combination, which takes us to the last point that we wanted to talk about. When you finish the ballet class, tell yourself, not only, like, that's something that I keep telling Hannah and all of you, all of my online students, don't use the recording of the class only to see what you did wrong. Actually look at the video or look back to your class and look at, what did I learn today? Or what did I do that was better than yesterday, or was better than 2 months ago when I started? It's very simple it's very easy to oversee that. But by doing a port de bras, a demi-plie with port de bras, there is so much coordination, body alignment, turn out, the position of your arch, your head. Look how many things involved in one demi-plie with a coordination of a port de bras. If you were able to do that, trust me, you're going to be able to do tombé, pas de bourrée, glissade, assemblée. That is just 4 different movements linked in one combination. You will get there. So tell yourself what you did right. What did you enjoy of the class today? Use that to see your progression slowly.
Yeah, that has been such a game-changing thing for me, I think, especially early on when I was coming back to ballet as an adult. There were a couple times where I just was so discouraged and felt like I wasn't improving at all, and all I was seeing was the things that I was doing wrong, to the point where I thought about stopping. And one of the things that changed that for me was really shifting my mindset to making myself identify the positive things and making myself identify where I was seeing progress, rather than just fixating on the one thing or the multiple things that I did wrong in class, picking at least one thing that I did right in class. Because I think ballet is so difficult that if you only fixate on what you're doing wrong, I just don't think you'll stick with it, because it is so hard. And there's always going to be things you're doing wrong. And if that's all you're thinking about, especially as adults, when like we don't have to be doing this, it's like, why would you stick with something as an adult? You're busy, you have a million other things going on. Why would you stick with something that was making you miserable? Like, you probably won't. And so I think it's so important to get the most out of it, that you're also fixating on the positives and choosing to identify the things that you're doing well. And you'll just enjoy it so much more. You'll enjoy your classes so much more. Like, I feel like my enjoyment of my classes has gone up exponentially. Now, I actually make myself write it down. I'm like someone that likes to write and keep a notebook just in life in general, and starting to write down either something nice that the teacher said or something even that I just noticed about myself, of like, oh, your pirouettes were better today, and just literally writing it down. And then I have an actual record of positive things, which I think has been so helpful for me.
I love that. It's true. Like, the point of view that you say it on, we don't talk to ourselves the way we will talk to friends. That, like, who will love you more than yourself? That's the first thing. Like, you have to love yourself, so everyone will be like, oh, she's fully happy. She's fully accepted on herself. Oh yeah, why not? And if someone doesn't accept you, whatever. You accept yourself, you're happy. And this is so, so amazing. Like, this is a pretty valid point for sure. Always remember what you did right, or what your teacher said that you did right. Stick to that one, and that's gonna be like, oh, okay, I might not have done a perfect pirouette, but I did a good passe with balance, and that is the foundation, and that is the base for a perfect pirouette. So if you did that, but you didn't do the pirouette today, you're doing that pirouette for sure in your near future.
Yeah, so true. I hope this episode was helpful for people, and that it, if anything, just goes to show that you're not alone in the struggle. We all have moments in class where we're struggling to keep up and to get it, but there are some things that you can do to push through that. So hopefully this episode helped you, and we will talk to you on the next one.
Bye. Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.